Welcome to the Cryptosphere. This is Cryptogenic coming at you. Today is Monday, January 24th at 8:37 p.m. here in Houston, Texas. That's right, I'm not in Northern California at the moment. I'm in Houston, Texas. Had some business here. We'll be here till tomorrow night, but had to get a video out to you because we've got some action on the market. And I think I'd like to do my best, take a stab at seeing where we're going to be going over the next few months. So all I'm going to be doing in this video is looking at 4 different Bitcoin charts to try to give us some insight into where Bitcoin might be going over the next couple of months, as well as some insight into where the altcoin market might be going as well. You ready? Okay, let's jump in. This is a weekly chart. This does not look like my normal weekly charts. Typically, you know I like weekly charts, but what I like doing is looking at the candle patterns versus the RSI to look at convergence and divergence. You guys know that that's my primary methodology. There's no RSI on this chart, not even any trend lines on this chart. There's some lines of support, but what we're looking at are 4 moving averages. The white line is the 50-week moving average. The blue line is the 100-week moving average. The yellow line is the 200-week moving average. The red line is the 300-week moving average. Why are we looking at these moving averages? Because what we can immediately see is that this pullback is different from the pullback that started in May. Because at the pullback that started in May, the 50-week moving average was the support. We wicked beneath it, but there's clear support here at the 50-week moving average. Here, we've closed 1, 2, 3, and we're working on our fourth weekly candle beneath the 50-week EMA. Now, the question is the 100-week EMA going to hold? If the 100-week EMA holds, then we're going to have strong support at $31,759. And if there's evidence that that 100-week EMA is going to hold, then we could all just set our buy orders down here, or set our leverage trades down here, which means we're going to have support at the same level. It's the 100-week EMA here now. Instead of this is where the 50-week EMA was. Now it's where the 100-week EMA is. So the question is, will the 100-week EMA hold? And my answer to that question is probably not. And I'll tell you why. Because historically, when we break beneath the 50, we also break beneath the 100. Look what happened over here. We're looking at February of 2020. We closed beneath the 50-day, and the very next week, we crash beneath the 100-day. And the 200-day is the support here, although we wick all the way down to, these are week. 300-week, 200-week, 100-week, and 50-week. When we close beneath the 50-week, we also capitulate beneath the 100-week. So boom, there was no support here at the 100-week, okay? How about over here? Beneath the 50, and boom, we collapse. We don't rest at all on the 100-week EMA here. We just capitulate all the way down to the 200-week EMA. And the 200 is the clear support here, but there's no support here at the 100-week. If you go further back, same thing over here, all the way back to 2015. It was 2014, actually. We crashed beneath the 50, we crashed beneath the 100, and we have to hit the 200-week before we get any support. So historically, the 100-week EMA, the 100-week MA, not an EMA, MA, is not good at giving us support in pullbacks. So if history repeats itself, then we're coming all the way down to retest the 200-week EMA, or MA, moving average, not exponential moving average, okay? So with that being said, I think we must prepare ourselves for the eventuality that we're going to retest at least the 200-week EMA, or 200-week moving average, and potentially the 300-week moving average, although we've only touched the 300-week. Actually, we didn't even touch it here. We almost touched it here. There was clear support above it, but we've never broken beneath the 300-week moving average. It's never happened. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that we're going to go straight down to 20,000. We may never hit 20,000, and the reason is these moving averages are continuing to move up. So I mean, we could bounce here, come back up to retest the 50, consolidate between the 100 and the 50 before finally capitulating beneath the 100 to come down to the 200-day EMA. I want to show you before we get to the monthly chart, looking at this daily chart, I thought this was interesting. So first of all, this falling channel here, we tend to break bullish out of these falling channels. They're inherently bearish, but they're eventually bullish. Look what's happening in the RSI on the daily chart. We are way into the oversold territory, and we've bounced down there. But if we look at these places where we bounce, so here, boom, we bounced there and we bounced there. So coming down here into this realm, this is like 20, right? It's a historic low. I mean, it's a low for this trend. But then coming over here, we had another low here within this trend that corresponded to this low in the RSI. So typically when we get down here, however, we are not at the historic bottom of the RSI. If I kind of zoom out here, you can see that we came all the way down here to about 15, and that was in March of 2020. And then we came all the way down here to under 10, really, and that was mid-November of 2018. So historically, we still got a little bit of a ways that we could possibly go down, but at a certain point, we're going to have to bounce just looking at the RSI on the daily because it's just way into the oversold territory. We might even have begun a bounce right where we are. And some of the evidence for that is what we see here is the Bitcoin Dominance Chart, and Bitcoin dominance is increasing. So if you look at this chart here, the RSI seems to want to come back and retest the top of this trend line. And then also the price action wants to come back and retest this trend line here as well. So what we see here is, isn't it interesting that if you look at this chart, Bitcoin is making bearish candles, but if you look at this chart, Bitcoin is making bullish candles. So this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and we're at 42.54%. What this chart tells us is that if you take all cryptocurrencies together, the entire cryptocurrency market cap, 42.54% of that market cap right now is Bitcoin. Bitcoin represents 42.56% of the entire crypto market cap at the moment, okay? And it looks like we're going to come up and retest 47%. However, this candle pattern is a bear flag. And so what I think is going to happen is we're going to come back and retest here, and then we're going to break down to at least 36% and perhaps all the way down to 32%. Now, what does that mean? If Bitcoin dominance, so first of all, if Bitcoin dominance increases by 5%, that means one of two things. One, either Bitcoin is going to bounce here and maybe coming back and retest the 50-day EMA, or 50-week moving average. So either Bitcoin is going to bounce and the altcoins will not, or Bitcoin will fall, continue to fall, but the altcoins will fall faster. So those are one of two ways that Bitcoin dominance increases. But then when we hit this top and we come back down, if we actually experience this kind of a drop from here, let's say we go down here, that's a 31% drop. So up to 30% reduction in Bitcoin dominance. What this means is that the altcoins are exploding. And even if Bitcoin is bouncing, it's not bouncing nearly as fast as the altcoins. The altcoins are gaining steam ahead of Bitcoin. What this tells me is that this upward progression here with Bitcoin on the dominance chart are the altcoins winding up, getting ready to release. They're just winding up, winding up, winding up, winding up. Okay? So what that tells me, just looking at this candle pattern in this RSI, what that tells me is there's still going to be some bearishness here in the entire crypto market as Bitcoin comes to retest this line. Bitcoin rising by 5%, increasing by 5%, means basically that we're not going to see a major outbreak in the altcoin market until Bitcoin hits the top of this line and breaks down bearish. And that, once again, that's not going to happen overnight. That's not going to be a linear progression. We're not. These are, every one of these candles takes 7 days to form, and so we're looking at maybe 1, 2, 3 more of these candles, and then however many more to get down to here. We're talking about a 2 to 3 month process here of Bitcoin kind of hitting the top of that and then breaking down in terms of dominance, and then the altcoin market explodes. And so what that can look like is maybe Bitcoin bouncing back to retest the 50-week EMA, breaking down, and then capitulating all the way down to the 200-day EMA, during which time the altcoins begin to explode. And then when Bitcoin hits the 200-week EMA, that becomes the bottom. We get support there at the 200-week EMA, and then we begin to recover. But what we have to watch is, I'll be moving these lines around because as the 200-week EMA progresses and moves higher, then I'm going to be moving my target to follow the 200-day EMA. This line is simply where the 200-week EMA is right now. And so, yeah, these lines are going to move based on that. All right, I hope that makes sense. The last thing I want to look at is the monthly chart for Bitcoin. Every one of these candles is a month, okay? So we've got 6 days and 22 hours left on this particular monthly candle. You see that on the monthly, we're breaking down beneath the whole sweet indicator. It looks like we may close beneath the whole sweet indicator, which is bearish in the short term. But here's what that looks like. Looking at this monthly chart, it's clear that Bitcoin can come all the way down to this line and still be bullish. You see this? All of this was bullish, and Bitcoin could come all the way down to retest this line, and we would still be on track to see a $130,000 to $300,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2022, which is pretty crazy, right? So, my strategy is just going to be pretty much to hold and maybe to accumulate some things at certain levels. I don't give financial advice, as you know, but that will be my strategy. So I'm anticipating, the thing about Bitcoin is that it always comes back to revisit the 200-day EMA, the 200-week EMA, sorry. At some point, we come back to check in with the 200-week. And so if this is one of those moments where we come back to check in with the 200-week, that's no problem because it'll just create a new bottom. And once that bottom is in, then we can see major confidence return to the market, and the market will just start to move upward again. So that's what I anticipate. All right, thanks so much for watching. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and leave me a comment if you don't mind. Above all, make every effort to sleep in peace every night, wake in joy every morning, and walk in love every day. This is Cryptogenic, signing out.